Salutations, YouTube! Welcome back to my tiny little channel. Today's video is a bit of an unboxing slash reveal, but it's not Transformers. This is something that recently came out and fairly affordable, fairly easy to collect, and I just had to have it. Now, before I show you what it is, let's just go back over the years and think about all of the restaurant swag that has been released and entered millions of households across North America. You know, stuff like Taco Bell and Burger King. I remember back in the day when the Star Wars prequel movies were coming out, they would have Phantom Menace cup toppers and big bobblehead ships where the character's head would be sticking out the top of a tiny ship and all sorts of stuff like that. Now, my personal favorite category, I guess, of restaurant swag is hockey stuff. The first restaurant that ever did it was McDonald's, at least in my lifetime slash recollection of things, was McDonald's. Back in the early to mid 90s, I believe, they started coming out with different promotions. I still have some of these things. One year they did it was a Muppet themed hockey giveaway. So I don't know what you had to order at McDonald's and what you had to pay for these things, but they had stuffies that were, it was either Muppets or Muppet Babies. I'm not sure what the characters were based on, but there was Kermit, there was Miss Piggy, there was Animal, you know, and they had skates on them, all plush, and each of them was wearing a different NHL All-Star jersey from that era. And that was back in the time when I think they had kind of the brightly colored ones that were either purple or teal, that sort of thing. So it was kind of that era. And so they had this series of plushy Muppet NHL All-Star characters that was pretty cool. One year they did little tiny goalie masks that sat on a little platform, and it was, I don't remember how many there were. I'm guessing there were probably at least 6 of them, maybe more. I didn't have all of them, but I had Felix Potvin, Jocelyn Thibault, I think I had Patrick Waugh, Mike Richter, John Van Beesbrook when he was on the Panthers. So I think that's at least 5. There was probably a few more. That was a pretty cool one. But over time, the most popular hockey restaurant promotion ended up being the hockey cards. Now, McDonald's also started this trend way back in the day, and I remember as a kid in high school, I would scrounge every last penny I could find, and even if it only got me 1 pack of cards, I would go down to McDonald's on my bike or walk in the winter or whatever and go get that pack of cards. And I remember too, in high school, later on in high school, we were having we had these different units where we actually got to leave the school, and one of them was bowling. So we got to go to this place called Fleetway Bowling, and it was really near to my house, and I think it was right at the end of the day. So I would just, most people would go back to school or whatever. I would just walk home from there, and there was a McDonald's happened to be on the way. So those 2 weeks we were doing bowling or whatever it was, I would come with as much money as I could possibly round up and stop at McDonald's on my way and intake more hockey card packs. So and McDonald's had some really cool hockey card almost trials back in the day. They had these ones that were really bright and shiny, that were like a gold kind of hue. They had the lenticular ones where you moved them and the player would make movements and look like they're skating or whatever, and a whole bunch of different things. And McDonald's did the hockey cards for quite a few years. Eventually they stopped, in Tim Hortons, which I love McDonald's for starting the whole trend. I appreciate those things, and I still have them in my collection, and they're cherished. But Tim Hortons to me is the more natural fit for especially a hockey themed giveaway, right? Like Tim Horton was a really good Canadian hockey player, and the donut chain spawned from his name and his image, and as a Canadian institution, and in my mind the best coffee you can get out there. I'm not on the Starbucks train. I like Starbucks, but it's overpriced and it's not as good as Tim Hortons. So, you know, why would you go there? But, and they don't have these cool promotions. So Tim Hortons taking over kind of that promotional giveaways, hockey themed stuff, to me was more of a fit, and I was happy to see them do that. So they've had hockey cards for the last number of years, and every fall when that rolls around, yeah, I fall hard for those cards. And now that my son is older and loves hockey too, like we're both collecting, right, and trading and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun. But my problem with the hockey cards is that you can never get a full set. I always try to at least get the full base set, because that's at least a pretty accomplishable tax if you spend enough money and buy enough cards, I guess. But you're never going to get all the insert cards because they're more rare, right? But I don't think I have completed a set yet. So when this new promotion came out and I saw that there was only 6 items in this series, I was like, I could finally have a full set of some sort of hockey swag from one of our restaurants, right? So without further ado, right now at Tim Hortons, they are issuing NHL players mini stick lockers. Look at these things. You can't really tell yet, but we're going to open them up and we're going to have a look at them. So basically inside these boxes is a little locker that a player would sit at. It's a little black thing. It opens up, and that player's image is inside of it, and the stick he actually uses in the NHL, a little version of that is inside the locker as well. There's 6 players that were chosen for the promotion, and we will go over all that stuff when I'm opening them up, and you can have a look, and let's get at it. All right, so let's get at this, and I'm going to reveal these kind of in the reverse order that I really wanted them. I went after the top guys I wanted first, and that I thought would also be most popular, and kind of worked from there. So the guy I wanted the least, nothing against him, is the grade 8, Alexander Ovechkin. Him and Sidney Crosby were first overall draft picks only a year apart back, in the early 2000s. And for a long time now, ever since then, basically, they're kind of head-to-head career parallels. They've been kind of head-to-head battlers and big faces for the league. Kind of the league is identified by these two guys, and the kind of running battle they've had because they're in the same division. They both inherited teams that weren't all that great and were rebuilding, and both elevated them to pretty high standards. Crosby's won a few cups. Ovi just won one a couple years ago, and they've really become not only the face of their franchises, but also of the league in a lot of ways. So, but as much as I like Ovi, he was the guy I wanted least out of this bunch. So he was the last guy I got. So you'll see as we open up the locker here, you've got a picture of the player on this side. I think these are just stickers because they look like they want to peel off. So Alex Ovechkin from Moscow, Russia, weighing in at 236 pounds, standing 6'3", shooting right. And that's all. That's the only stats. Okay, I thought there was going to be more. But, So you'll see the picture of him here, and then it's like his jersey's hanging in the locker, and then the stick you can actually pop out. So, got the name on the top there. I don't know if you can see or if that's too blurry, but right there, Ovi 8. CCM Super Tax. Tax are great skates, actually. That's what I have. They're old now, but they're fantastic. So that's Ovechkin's locker. So as you can see, it's kind of a neat kind of promotion. Something a little different from things that might have come before it, but really cool idea. And I like that there's only 6 of them, so that you are capable of, fairly easily getting the whole set, right? Next up, Nathan MacKinnon of the Colorado Avalanche. This guy is a phenom. He's amazing. You may recognize him. He's him and Sidney Crosby are the two kind of NHL representatives for Tim Hortons, the two players that do all the commercials together and stuff like that. And the funny thing about that is, I don't know if that's why they picked them, but MacKinnon is actually from the same hometown as Sidney Crosby, a little small town on the East Coast.
So it's kind of funny that two players that are so good came from such a small little town, right? So here we go. Nathan MacKinnon wearing number 29 for the Colorado Avalanche. They say he's from Halifax, but I believe he's from Cole Harbour, which is where Sid's from. 6 foot, 200 pounds, shoots right. There is Nathan MacKinnon. He also has a CCM stick. Ribcore. CCM Ribcore, not the tax like Ovi, but another CCM brand stick. So that's pretty cool. This was it was hard to pick which order I wanted these guys in as we got near the bottom. There was two that I knew I really wanted, but after that it was kind of a struggle to figure out, who came next, sort of thing. So third last, Sidney Crosby. It's only fitting that him and MacKinnon should be side by side, anyways, right? So Sid, like I was talking about with Ovi, he was a highly touted junior. With an outstanding junior career. I actually remember here when the London Knights won the Memorial Cup in 2004. Sid was on the Rimouski team that was in the tournament as well, and I remember heckling him unmerciful when we were watching the games because I wanted the Knights to win so bad. But I knew how good this guy was just by watching him, right? And then he came to Pittsburgh as that draft pick and totally turned that franchise around. And without him, they wouldn't have won those cups. Even though they've got other guys like Malkin and they had Fleury in net and all that stuff, without Sid, I'm guarantee they would not have won those cups. He's the key piece to that team and still is and will be until he's either retired or, God forbid, they trade him somewhere. But yeah, and of course we all know about the golden goal at the Olympics a number of years ago. He's represented Team Canada a number of times. He's just, despite being a Penguin, I don't hate the Penguins, but I also don't like them. So we'll forgive him for being a Penguin, based on how good he's been for the league and for Canadian hockey as well. And him and McKinnon's commercials for Tim Hortons are pretty hilarious too. So that's a positive thing. Sidney Crosby from Cole Harbour, see? 5'11", 200, shoots left. And he also has a CCM. This is a Ribcore, but not the same as McKinnon's. Yeah. Uh-oh. There we go. Motor skills deteriorating as I get old. Go. So this one's actually kind of a shocker. If you've watched my NHL videos before, I love the Leafs and I hate a certain number of other teams, but one obviously so. So when I wanted this one third, I kind of hated myself for it. But number 31 from the Habs, Carey Price. Simply because it's an original 6 team and it's the only goalie stick in the series, and I've always wanted to be a goalie. Goaltending is my favorite thing about hockey. Like, I just love that position and the importance of it, and just it looks so awesome and it's so fun to play. So it was kind of like one of these things where it's like, oh God, I hate the Habs so much, but it's a goalie stick, right? So here it is, Carey Price. The only reason the Habs won that qualifying round against the Penguins. Carey Price from Anaheim Lake, BC, standing 6'3", weighing 217 pounds. Catches left as most goalies do. God, he's 6'3". I didn't know he was that tall. But anyways, as you can see, also a CCM, but not like any of the other sticks because it is a goalie stick. So that's pretty fantastic. There it is in all of its glory. Goalie sticks are the best. And we were actually at a sports store a while back buying some stuff for our ball hockey leagues, and I picked up like a new goalie stick, like a current one, and I was like, oh my God, this thing is like a feather. It was so easy to pick up, compared to the old wooden ones we used to use that are basically like playing with a tree in your hand, right? So it's crazy where technology has taken some of this equipment and such. Second overall draft pick among Darth Cobain 17's stick lockers. probably the best young player in the league right now, and is going to be the best player in the league for the next decade or more. Whether he's going to have the same kind of success that Sid had leading his team to Stanley Cups will be determined, and will be a great measuring stick of his career when it's all said and done. But the incomparable Connor McDavid. I love the Oilers. I love McDavid, so this was a no-brainer at number 2. And so far, we've got all CCM, so let's see if we can maybe break the trend here a little bit. Number 97, top draft pick a few years back, and he's totally... Even though the Oilers have struggled here and there to make the playoffs since he's gotten there, he has totally turned that team around and will get them going where they need to go. But they need to fill in some other gaps and stuff before they can be a real contender. But I have no doubt they will eventually. He's so good. Oh, another CCM. Isn't that crazy? Connor McDavid from Richmond Hill, Ontario, which is near Toronto. Is considered Toronto maybe by now? I don't know. 6'1", 193, shoots left, and is freaking awesome. So yeah, this is a CCM, another tax, but a little different one than that Ovi had. A little blue tape on the end, unlike Ovi's red. So yeah. Pretty cool stuff. C-Mac. Put him over here on the end. But the centerpiece of my collection, of course, is a Maple Leaf. And I was actually surprised by the selection. Sort of, in a way. But without further ado, let's just get it open. It is Mitch Marner. Little Mitch. Mitchell. Oh my god. These are not the easiest to get open. There we go. There we go. Let's see what Mitch has got. I know he's not got a CCM. He has a true. Mitch Marner from Markham, Ontario, which is also Toronto-ish. 6 foot. Oh, I thought he was under 6. He seems so small, but I guess the other guys in the league are also goddamn big. 6 foot, 175. He's like basically exactly my size. So I guess I'm small. Oh well. Shoots right and wears number 16 for the Leafers. There is his true, which is a newer brand of hockey equipment I'm still not all that familiar with, but I know Mitchie's got everything. Yeah, his gloves there are true and stuff, so he seems to enjoy it. Yeah, so there is all of the sticks in the lockers, as you can see. We'll just pop it up here so you can get a nice little visual of all of them in a row. Looking fantastic. Look at that. Simply beautiful. I love hockey swag from restaurants. It's fantastic. So, let's get back on the stool and we'll wrap this thing up.
So there's my little reveal of Tim Horton's latest hockey swag. By the way, they're $5.99 Canadian dollars plus tax. So they're not cheap, but they're also not super expensive. And considering there's only 6 of them, you know, $36 plus tax, and you've got the whole collection, right? So that was something that to me made really good sense to finally have a full set of one of these things, and something that's so unique and cool too. Now I mentioned just some thoughts on the promotion and the players they chose. I mentioned I was surprised that they chose Marner as the Leaf to represent in this collection, because I just automatically assumed it was going to be Matthews. Whether I agreed with that or not was a different thing, but he's kind of the face of the franchise, the number 1 draft pick a couple years back, or I guess longer now, 4 or 5 years back, and he's the guy who I would think would be the first choice for any sort of promotion or whatever, because he is that face of the franchise. So I just assumed. I didn't immediately know the 6 players that were going to be in it, because the commercials only really, you could see Crosby and McKinnon, and I didn't really notice who else was in there. So when I looked them up and I saw, oh, it's Marner, not Matthews, I was pretty impressed, because, you know, I know Tim Hortons is primarily a Canadian chain. I know that, like, in some of the northern U.S. states, there, like, I know when we cross over to Michigan and stuff, or maybe northern New York to do some cross-border or go to the airport or whatever, like, I know there's some Tim Hortons there. But overall, It's 95% a Canadian only chain as far as I know. So it's something that's primarily uniquely Canadian. And so when I saw that they chose to put Marner in the collection instead of Matthews, with Matthews being an American and Marner being a Canadian, I was really pleased that they chose to go that route instead. I thought that was a really smart choice. And all but one of the players, they're all Canadian. The only non-Canadian on there is Alexander Ovechkin from the Capitals, and that's primarily probably because he's been, like I said, he's been such a face of the league and his franchise for so many years now, and in that direct competition with Sid, he was a pretty good to have the one non-Canadian in there. I thought he was probably the best choice they could have made, so I thought that was pretty cool. And then the other ones, Ovi being the non-Canadian in there was probably the smartest choice they could have made in that capacity. You knew Crosby and McKinnon, they had to have both of those guys because they're both the Tim Hortons guys. And then you knew they had to have a Leaf and a Hab in there. Like I said, I was happy they chose to go the Canadian route with Marner. And then Carey Price is really the only good Hab they have and the reason they win any games at all. So he was the obvious choice. And the fact that he's a goalie and you get a goalie stick is pretty cool. And then, of course, Connor McDavid being kind of the new Sidney Crosby, right? The new guy that's going to be the best player in the league for many years was kind of the obvious choice there as well. So I have a feeling that maybe some of the Canadian fans of the other franchises may not be that happy, like the Jets, the Flames, the Canucks. Is that all? Am I miss? Oh, Ottawa. Do we even count that? They don't have any good players anyway. Maybe they feel a bit slighted they didn't get somebody. So maybe they could have. I kind of like that they capped it at 6 because it's a small collection that's easily obtainable, and it seems kind of more exclusive or something. Like, you're really good, but you didn't make the cut, right? But even if they had expanded it up from 6 to 10 and included the other, 4 Canadian teams or whatever, that wouldn't have been that big of a deal to do that. But yeah, it is what it is. Like for the Canucks, Bo Horvat easily would have been my choice there. He's their best player. He's a Canadian. He played here for London again. There's another night in there. The Jets, I can't think of. Scheifele would be good. Scheifele being a Canadian boy and one of their best players. I kind of think they would probably choose to do Laine just because he's, he was the number 2 pick right behind Matthews, and it was the running, competition. Who's going to go number 1, even though we knew it was going to be Matthews. He would probably be the front runner, I would assume, but being the Canadian centric guy I am, I would choose to go with Scheifele. And then on the Flames, I hate all of them, so I don't care. And then Ottawa, I hate them, and they don't have anybody good anyway, so they're kind of non-factors. So yeah, so a really cool promotion, and like I said, I like the teams they chose, I like the players they chose, I like the fact that they were all mostly Canadian, and my cousin used to taunt me about this. He's like, "You're racist," and I'm like, "What are you talking about? I'm racist?" He's like, "Well, you listen to Don Cherry, and he hates Europeans and Russians and stuff like that, and you're always talking about how Canadians are the best hockey players," and it's like, I'm not racist. Like, I'm nationalist, I guess I would say. Like, do I want Ovi to break Wayne Gretzky's scoring record? Hell no. Nothing against Ovi. He's a fantastic player, and if he'd been a Leaf, I would have been out of my mind. But I want Canadians to be the best hockey players in the world because I myself am a Canadian, was raised on hockey, and I want us to be the best for the rest of time, right? So I'm not racist. I just love Canadian hockey, and I want us to be the best, right? So it was funny, some of the arguments people can, present you with that just don't make sense, right? So when I was going through this and looking at the players and the Canadian content and stuff like that, it just kind of got me thinking about that, and I had a bit of a chuckle to myself. Yeah, so that was a little off track, but a little something that I thought was kind of funny that I threw in there. So, but anyways, I'll post some pics of the lockers so you can get an even closer look at them from compared to what you saw in the video there. And then yeah, that will be everything. Hope you liked it.